Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. Man Talk Monday.
What up?
Hey, man. Coming to you all on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Right? Day where
Yep.
we celebrate the great leader that was Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Man, he's one of my he's one of my inspirations. I will say that. I've always, I don't know, maybe because I did speeches when I was a kid.
That
so
might have a
many,
little. That might have a little bit to do with it. That may.
so
have
many
a little-
times, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh,
Mhm.
definitely admire the man. I appreciate his work, his sacrifice, and all that he did. And yeah, so how you feeling today, man?
Man, I feel good, man. He was a great individual, man, and a much needed individual at that time, man. Brother, awesome. Hey, for what he did, so we can do what we do now, man. I can't say enough about it, man. Can't say
It's
enough
huge,
about it.
man. It's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah, it is. It is. It
Well,
is.
ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into it. This is Man Talk Mondays. This is an open forum where we talk about everything from religion to politics to relationships. But of course, we do it from a man's perspective. Ladies, you want to know what we feel about something, how we think about something? Come holler at us, right? Now, the thing is, this is not just for men. Men, women, boys, girls, children of all ages. You can jump in, you can join in. Now, you can be part of the conversation. How you join? Go in the comments, drop your comment, drop your question. This is how you participate. We want to hear from you, right? So if you got something you want to say, let us know. We can see it. You can be part of the conversation. We want you to join in, right? So before we get into all of that, ladies and gentlemen, Man Talk Monday News.
Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Man Talk Monday News. I'm your host, John D. Blackman, and today on Man Talk Monday News, we're going to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King, you were a great individual, but you were great for more than what people know. When they hit you or put the water hoses on you when you wasn't even thirsty, couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me. When you got beat with the billy clubs, and you know those billy clubs got the rubber on the little metal things, couldn't have been me. You went to jail constantly for stuff that you didn't do. I went to jail. It wasn't constantly, but I did the stuff. So, okay, next one. All right. All that walking and marching that you was doing just so we could have equal rights couldn't have been me. My feet would have been hurt, and I know they would have been hurt. My back would have been hurt. And then when you got there, they sent you to jail. Couldn't have been me. And last but not least, the dogs. The dogs would just bite you just because. I'm kind of scared of dogs anyway. Oh my goodness. They would just sit the German Shepherds on. They would be pulling and biting on you and pulling. It couldn't have been me. I would have hit or kicked somebody. We would have been still trying to get out of it. Had to be me because I would have been fighting and biting. And you ain't gonna do that. And you ain't taking me back to jail. No, I didn't do that. So thank God for Martin Luther King, a person who was destined for that time and that place, because it couldn't have been me. And this has been Man Talk Monday News with John D. Blackman. Good night and good night.
Yeah, bro. They was cut a little different from different cloth back then.
Brother,
Hey, man. Hey,
brother, you think they what? Brother, what? Brother,
that's
brother, the torture that they had to put up with for just sitting in diners, trying to get service. Oh, brother,
Right.
no, 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 couldn't have been me, bro.
Yeah, man. I applaud the people who did that and truly appreciate it because, man, when I look at all that Black people do now, all that we can be involved in now, and yes, we still deal with oppression, injustice, the whole nine. The needle has moved so much, so much. And it's still a lot more that could be done, but I
Mhm.
digress. All right. So we start a new segment. Our man, talk about it. Right. This is where you can email us your letters about some things that you want to talk about or you want us to address. Right. So, man, talk about it. So this is our
Yes,
letter.
and so this week we have a letter in the queue, and we're getting ready for it. So, D, you want to read? You ready to read it, D?
All right, let's go. Here we go with Man Talk About It letter. Says, good evening, Man Talk Mondays. I received, I recently viewed a clip that resonated with me on a U2 type level. Why are some men convinced that having a couple of nights of pleasure means it's time to move in? During a time, I was in a situation where after a couple of weekend stays, the man began dropping hints of wanting to move in with me. He first began to drop hints of splitting bills, working together to get ahead, and even brought in a week's worth of groceries for a 2-day stay. We were in a casual situationship. Catch that, situationship, nothing more. Why did he feel the need for the change of residence? Did I allow him to become to become too comfortable? He did express how he loved hanging out with me in our whole vibe, which was fine. However, we never spoke about a relationship or what we wanted in a we never spoke about a relationship or what we wanted in a relationship before he began dropping hints of shacking. I was under the impression that this was only a hit it and move situation. What changed and why? Quick note, we did not move in together. I cut it off after the hints began. Who does that? Signed, who does that? All right. This is our letter for this week, right? I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm gonna let you go. What you got?
See, if the letter had been wrote from a man's perspective, it would have been titled "Man, Moms Be Tripping," because he probably living with moms. He probably living with somebody. Think about this. If he come in your house and he casing it when he get in there, ooh, girl, I like this furniture. You got the leather
Right.
woods, girl. You doing your thing. And he thinking the whole time how he could be up in here and what he could be doing. Girl, you got a bum. You got a bummy bum bum bum. You got a bum. You need to keep that thing moving. Because one of the things, if it's gonna be about sex, there should be a mutual agreement. But now, in the heat of sex, he trying to talk to you while he in the heat of sex. While he up in there roughing you up, he gonna say, "Girl, you know I need to be up here." She gonna say, "Yeah, you do. You need to be right up in here." You think he talking about you? He talking about your apartment. He talking about your house. He talking about you. He talking about where he need to put his shed and his bean bag, and he need to go get groceries because he trying to be up in there with you. Listen, he's a bum. He's a bum. And you should have known that when you picked him up, when he came to, when he went to the, hey, I bet he went to the store and bought great value groceries because he's a bum. Go ahead,
Save a
Dave.
lot. All right. So let me say this. Charlene said yes. Bum, 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 bum. All right. So let me say this. Yes, the brother is all the way wrong. But at the same time, if you are in the mode where you are in this hit it and quit it portion, just know you gonna run into some bums. Just know you're gonna run into these types of guys. So don't be surprised. Don't be being out of shape because you ran into it. Because if this is what you're in, because if you were searching for somebody that you were trying to actually be with, you were trying to do life with, share a life with, you would check him out better. But the fact that it's just a hit it and quit it situation says you looking for one thing. You ain't checking no references. You ain't doing no interviews or nothing. You just going straight for, hey, you doing that day labor. You picking up day laborers. That's what you doing. So don't be surprised. Day labor, bro. I'm trying to tell you. So don't be, you just looking for somebody to tighten you up real quick. Listen, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because he's trying to set up his life. He's trying to set up his situation. So you gave him an open door. Now here's the telltale sign. If his toothbrush end up over there, you in trouble.
I'm tripping on the day labor. I can't get over the day labor.
Day labor. You going picking up day laborers expecting, you know what I'm saying, somebody who you did a whole interview with resumes and stuff. Day laborers behave a certain way.
And then if he don't never invite you to his place, and one of the reasons why, because mom don't really take visitors after 9. So if mom may take visitors after 9, you can't come over his house with mom sitting in the living room with the curlers in her with that what they call that duster, and they're talking about, baby, you gotta open the door to his room when you go in there.
Oh, ain't no closed doors in my house. Listen, you Big Shirley dating Cole. That's who you are.
I'm just saying.
All he got is a face, so that's all he got. And he's trying to live a homestead.
And I bet she's asking herself this: why do the bums be the best in bed? Why they just get you in there and do you like they want to do you? Well, let me tell you why. Because they have something else on their mind besides that. They need a place to stay. They need a place to stay. And they figure if I get her in there and flip her and turn her and toss her and I throw her up, when she come down, she gonna say, whoa, you need to move in here. Unfortunately, you was not that person.
You just playing. He playing for his survival. So yeah, he coming with it. He looking for a resident. Right? It's a performance interview. Yeah, all right. Great point. Here's the thing that people fail to realize. Talent versus character. Being good in bed is a talent. It does not mean that the person has it all together. So many times people mistake talent for character. Just because he can put it down don't mean he can handle actual business. He can handle that little business, but you in the sheets at best 30, 40 minutes. What about the other 23.3 hours? What is he doing? How is he taking care of life? You got to stop giving people positions. Stop giving them power. And they only have talent. You need character. So you got to take your time and really assess people. And you can't do it if you're giving up the goods. It clouds judgment.
Well, these said it better than I'm gonna say it. You got to put a lease to own option on the booty. Why when you boot in with somebody and they smashing you, he can't get a hotel. Y'all should be up in a hotel where it's away from both of y'all if there's an understanding on what's supposed to happen. Because if you can't get me a room, if you can't get a room to go in there and do what we doing, because if I keep you away from my residence and I'm away from yours, there's no misunderstanding of what this is. He ain't gonna buy groceries for the hotel room, huh? Because the maid and them gonna come by and clean up. He ain't buying no groceries if we somewhere different every weekend. But if you keep bringing them to your place, why I'm gonna get comfortable if I keep coming over every weekend. If I know where the bathroom is, you don't have to tell me. I'm gonna keep coming. Stop having them bums and anybody else over your house. Have them ninjas to get you a hotel room. If they can't get no hotel, they don't need no tail. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You said at least the own house. That was funny. Okay, so let me tell you, women, let me tell you, a real man is not trying to get to your house. He's trying to get you to his house. Now, I'm not just saying a real man. I'm saying most men, if a man got something, he trying to get you to his house because he wants home field advantage. He's not trying to get you over to your house where you got home field advantage. So if a man is eager to go home with you, that's red flag number one.
Even if I ain't got it all together, I can put you up in a nice spot where you think I do.
Yolanda said no hotel, no tail.
Hello.
No tail. Bye, John. Okay. So listen. You talking about benefits. Even your job has a probationary period before they offer you benefits. They want to see if you're going to stick around. They want to see what kind of worker you are. They give you 90 days, 60 days, whatever, because they say, listen, if I'm going to give you benefits, you got to qualify. We get the benefits too quickly. And then we try to get people to qualify for it. But you already gave them the benefits. I'm just saying.
So remember, guys, submit y'all letters because next week could be your letter about your trifling behind. So just remember, submit your letters because we want to talk about you. And remember, everybody remains anonymous, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we ain't giving no names. Man Talk Mondays 1@gmail.com. You see it at the bottom of your screen. Send your letters. You got questions. You got something, the situation you want us to address. By all means, send it in. We're gonna talk about it. Man, talk about it. That's the name of the thing. Man, talk about it. All right. So let's get into this. It's probably a good segue. Let's get into this. Wesley say you giving full-time benefits to a part-time lover. I can be your part-time lover. Yeah. It sounds good in a song until you have to deal with that knucklehead.
There you go. It all do, bro. It all do. It always sounds better in a song.
Right. Well, it's one thing. It's blatantly clear. In the midst of relationships, it's easy to run upon somebody who has issues, right? Easy to run upon somebody who has issues. But you go through situations with this person, next thing you know, you end up on the short end of the stick. The problem is, you get rid of that person, you finally break away. Now the next person that come up, they got to deal with all of the mess that the other person left behind. So we're talking about tonight, dang, who hurt you?
And why you don't trust nobody? What is it that he did to where every time I sit my phone down, you got to go in it? Who did that? Why I got to pay for that? Why I got to pay for that?
Hey, man.
Why I got to pay for walking in the mall and I can't look at nobody? You looking? Why I can't look?
So we're talking about hurt in relationships because it's clear that people don't deal with this well. I remember a song, Music Soul Child. It says, I'm not to blame for the pain that was caused by previous cats. So why I got to put up with what he did? Why do we do that? Why do we put something somebody else did off somebody else?
Well, I think one thing that we want to show them, you ain't hurt me. You ain't hurt me. You got a full beard. Your hair done grew all out and patches. You pulling it out. You got a mustache and a beard. If you're a woman, listen. You don't just let yourself go, but you want to prove to him that it didn't really matter. That didn't bother you, or vice versa. You laying on the couch. Well, it didn't hurt. Well, it did hurt. Cupid has his foot in your behind and it's twisted while it's in there.
Right.
Deal with that. Deal with that. Because now you're walking with a limp, and when you get up to us, we're trying to figure out what's wrong with you.
But you make the other person pay for it. But then when the other person get tired of dealing with it and they want to leave, now you think, why are you trying to listen? Ain't nobody got time to be putting up with the issues from somebody else.
Well,
Why
now
we?
go ahead.
All right. So Cherie says, hurt people hurt people. She absolutely right. But my thing is, it becomes a cycle. People jumping into relationships, and it ain't nothing but hurt people jumping into these relationships. Why don't people take the time to get themselves together and heal before they start getting into another relationship?
Well, I'm just curious about I'm just curious about some of the things that the audience have to say about being hurt, because you can be hurt from different places. You can be hurt at work, you can be hurt at the church, and you can be hurt in relationships. And we all drag all this behind us like dead bodies. So in all of we need healing in all of it. We need to deal with it in every stage.
So Cherie says women are left with insecurities that they don't deal with. I would say everybody. I won't say just women.
Yes, exactly. Because if you get cheated on, if you the dude or the chick that's going to work every day, and you come back and somebody got your girl or your guy in there in a position you've seen before, and I'm just saying, and they tapping out, you gonna feel some kind of way about it. You're gonna feel some kind of way about it. You and when you leave them alone, you're gonna have a difficult time trusting when you leave that relationship. And so do you think it's best to give yourself some space to get to figure that thing? I mean, one
thing I've heard people say, which it sounds funny, but it's so dangerous. The best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. That's
a good lyric.
Yes.
That's a good lyric. That's a good lyric, but that's all it is.
Selena says some people associate moving on to another relationship as part of the healing process. And I think that's where we got to correct that. We got to correct it. You got to deal with what happened. You're not healthy enough to go into another relationship. You're not healthy enough to move on. You got to patch up, do some patchwork before you start moving on.
Well, and then too, oftentimes when we're able to step away from it, we can see it a little better. Because while you in it, you can't really see it, man. But if you step back and say, you know what, maybe I was a little too naive when he told me that time, like he was going to the moon, and I said, you just be careful, take your coat.
Right.
Right. Maybe I was too naive when she kept saying, when I'm finna hang out with my girls and we're gonna be good. We're going for the weekend. I'm hanging out with my girls. We're going to the cabins or whatever it is. Maybe I was too naive when you find out that she wasn't ever going to the cabin. She was always with somebody else. But whatever the case may be, you need to reflect back on what it does, because and I hate to say this, y'all, but everybody play a part in it. You played a part in his cheating, just like he played a part. His part just was bigger than yours.
Oh, wow. All right, let's give Mika. Mika says, people won't heal because
Mika said people won't heal because they think they're well. They have to admit it at first. Some people feel like that moving on is healing.
And I think that's the point. I think John brought up a good point, because we want to look like we're okay. And we really not okay.
What the lie we tell ourselves, D? If I look like I'm doing well, then that's the best revenge. Living well is the best revenge. But you ain't living well in your mental. You listen, you can buy all the house and the cars and the stuff that you want to buy, and that make you feel good about yourself. But man, if you damaged in the wreck, if you damaged up here, dude, all that don't matter. That's why people drive off cliffs and stuff when they got big bank accounts and stuff, because it don't matter. You need your mental straight. Everything else will come, man. Everything else will come.
All right, so Cherie says, do people know where to go to get help? Some are afraid to get help. I don't know. You're right. A lot of times people don't know where to go, but a lot of people don't. They're not motivated to look because they're so busy trying to look like they're okay. I think that is power in saying, hey, that person jacked me up. Can somebody get with your friends that love you and care about you, not the ones who gonna give you bad advice like, girl, you need to get under somebody. Nah, leave that person alone. Get with somebody who gonna tell you the real, because the part is you can't move on because you got open wounds. You got open wounds.
How many people know that, D? This is why this show is so important. People don't know when they hurt, man. People listen. When you're in a relationship or been hurt by the church or job or whatever, it is equivalent to dragging a dead body behind you. It is equivalent to that. And it's after a while it starts stinking, y'all. Listen, man, when you go through something, you have to talk to somebody, whether it's your friends, if you can do that, but we got to talk to somebody. We have to stop making it so faux pas. What's the word? Faux pas?
Faux pas, yeah.
We got to stop making it so crazy to talk to somebody else.
Change the word altogether. Yolanda says pride. Many just think they're going to accept them and love them past the hurt. She brought up a good point. I'll never forget, I heard somebody says the reason that the biggest thing addicts deal with, why they stay addicts, is because of their pride. If you can deal with your pride, you can get over an addiction.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on, D. Stop. I just can't. Wait. Now. You said an addict can't get over their addiction because of their pride. Say that again. I'm sorry.
It's the whole, I got this attitude. You got to be willing to admit that you toe up. You got to have somebody you can go and cry with. Somebody, if it's real deep-seated hurt, there's somebody you can sit down and talk with that's a professional where you can air this stuff out. Listen, wounds need air. You can't just keep them covered all the time. They need air sometimes. Not only air, but they need water. I found this out. Wounds need water. They need air. You can't keep them covered all the time because they start to stink. They start to rot. Right? So you got to be able to expose that wound. But you want to expose that wound to people who going to actually care for you. Right? And that ain't your friend. It's going to be like, girl, I told you he wasn't no good. No, I'm not talking about that friend. I'm talking about that friend that said, hey, girl, I'm with you. We ain't got to say nothing. Let's just watch Netflix and cry out. Whatever we got to do, let's get past it. All right. Monique says, I believe most of us are aware that we have to invest in self-care and healing after heartbreak or distrust. However, the huge elephant of loneliness sets in. Then what? Most people want a true companion. Loneliness is a trap. Loneliness is a trap. Truth be told, you ain't ready to deal with somebody else until you're comfortable with dealing with yourself. You're not ready for nobody else. You got to be able to, you talk about self-care, when you can be alone and be okay, you good. But it's the pressure that I got to drag somebody else in here with me. That's the trap. That's a quick sign to know that you are not ready to even accept or be with somebody else. When you can't be by yourself and be happy, you do not need nobody else.
Well, that's true, D, but most of the time we self-medicate ourselves. We go around who we're comfortable about being around, who gonna tell us what we want to hear. Because most of the time when you like the three things we said church, business, and your life, your relationship. People have been telling you, say, man, you need to get away from that. That might not be the best place for you. or you can't allow them to do you that way. People been telling you this, but most of the time, that's not who we surround ourselves by. We surround ourselves normally by people who gonna tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. That's normally
Right.
what we do. And now whether it has something to do with pride, that could be true. I just find it hard for a crackhead who weighs 7 pounds to tell me anything about pride. He weighs 7 pounds, is little white, he been sleeping 3 days. I'm trying to figure out where the pride at. He don't have pride when he bringing you loose tires down tree trying to get you to buy for $15. What is the pride at?
But that's pride that you only allow people in your circle who gonna tell you what you want to hear. A true friend tells you the truth. And if you are ready to deal with true friends, that lets you know that you have a deeper hurt to a different level. And like Sharice says, we got to get with somebody that's an actual professional. And listen,
Now,
you can
I
have
know you don't.
relationship trauma. Listen, if you can have relationship trauma, though, sometimes you don't have the equipment to move on, and the people around you don't know how to move on either.
D, you don't need you don't need no professional. People been telling you behind that ninja wasn't no good, or shit wasn't no good the whole time. You don't need no fight. You need a professional now. You don't need no professional. You need to listen to folks when they try and tell you. Warning come before destruction, and folks don't want to hear nothing. I love he. I love she. Everybody trying to hear that. Then when you hurting, now you don't want to tell about because you're embarrassed. And people been telling you that, D. Most of the time, most of the time, it ain't like we didn't know. It ain't like it was no surprise to you.
Yeah. Sophia says most people don't like being alone, but expect someone else to want to be alone with you. she, she absolutely right. But here's the thing: alone is different than being lonely. Alone, all one. You got to be okay being just single. And the problem is society has has done a job on everybody to where they make you feel deficient if you don't have somebody. They make you feel like there's something wrong with you, there's something broken in you if you don't have a husband, a boyfriend, or something. Some people just need to be by themselves. They got too much that went on. You got stuff that happened in your childhood. You got stuff that happened in a few relationships. You just need to be by yourself for a while to even just know who you are.
Let me say this. And Sophia, exactly. She said exactly. She agreed with you, D. Let me say this. Truth be told, a lot of the reasons why we go through what we go through in marriages and relationships is because we didn't spend enough time by ourselves. We didn't get to know who we were and what we wanted before we was trying to make somebody else make us whole. We need to know who we are. That's what's wrong. Listen, everybody needs some time to themselves before you gonna commit or try to get into something with somebody else. You need to figure out who you are and what you like to do, what you all about. And especially if you came from a relationship if your church disappointed you, if your job disappointed you, if a man or woman disappointed you, what did you have to do with that? Because you ultimately gave them the control to do it.
Yeah.
See, and I listen. There is enough to go around for everybody. There's enough. What word I'm looking for? There's
Blame.
enough issue, blame to go everywhere. Everybody get a little bit of that, and you have to be alone so you can see your point in it. Because if most of the time when a guy cheats on you or a woman cheats on you, all y'all doing is having a party talking about how bad he was, how bad she was. Don't nobody never say, "Well, girl, if you hadn't did that or hadn't been doing this." Go ahead, Dave.
So Sophia said most people have no idea what they need, so they confuse wants with needs. Absolutely right. Well, they seek to be completed. Instead, have making two wholes one. Instead, they have making all right. So I get what she's saying. Here's the problem. We say this all the time. Married people, where is your better half? Where's your better half? So the concept is that I need this person to complete me. And that's not facts. If you divide one by one, you get one. So you have to be a whole person yourself before you start taking on other relationships. Like I said, it's the pressure of society that makes us feel like we're deficient if we don't have somebody that gets us caught in this trap. There's a lot of work you got to do before you start, you know what I'm saying,
Well,
entertaining.
and social media, man, social media is the worst.
Social
Social
media,
media, TV
bro.
shows, man. And
Oh,
it's funny. I was having this conversation with my wife earlier. Like, man, if things were like they were on social media and TV, everybody would have a perfect relationship. But that's not. That's just not how that is. It's not. You listen. You're gonna be disappointed by churches because churches are ran by people that have issues. You're gonna be disappointed at your jobs because jobs are ran by people that have issues. And the same with relationships, man. So I'm curious, how do you guys get over relationships that y'all having with the church, with the job? I'm curious about how y'all deal with it because we all self medicate, and I'm just curious. Uh, I'm just curious.
yeah, y'all talk to us. What's your self medication? How do you how do you deal with the stuff that comes on? All right. Charlene says, I can do me. You got my wife used to think I was crazy. Before we got married, I would go sit at a restaurant by myself and just eat. Or I go to the movies by myself. She thought I was crazy. Like, how you just go? Listen, I gotta be able to be okay with myself. If ain't nobody else for me, I gotta be fine. If you are not good company to yourself, you're not gonna be it for nobody else. So at least learn to be good company with yourself.
Good man.
Right?
That's good. Yeah.
So to your point, how do y'all deal with it? How do y'all deal with it?
I know I would it would bother me. What did he say? What did she say?
Still saying you're a troll though. But I'm glad I learned this before I got into a relationship with my wife because I'm like, I gotta be okay with me. I dealt with a whole lot of stuff. I dealt with a whole lot of stuff. Sophia went to Grambling. She know you can get into a whole lot of stuff at Grambling. But my thing was I had to be okay with me. Otherwise, I was no good to nobody else.
So Phil says she craft. What kind of craft you do? What like the what the what's that? What the crafting?
I forgot to put the needlepoint, whatever the thing. Crocheting. Yeah,
Yeah.
crocheting.
Hey, by the time she get through, she done made a whole sweater.
Right. You can tell how mad she is about what she didn't made.
Hey, they come over there,
the whole map of the world. Somebody take it off for real.
You come over there, she got a quilt landing on the floor. You be like, girl, who made you man? Who you made that girl?
You need to talk. She said, you did good, D. I've known you for 20 plus years and love the man you have been. I appreciate it. It was rough though, let me tell you. It was a hard fight.
Wow, Sophia say
you said wreaths, shirts, cups. I wrote 3 books. Wow.
See, now she on to something now. Because boy, when you hurting, I was looking at this Amy Winehouse thing up there on cable, and she got her best album when she was hurting. When she was hurting because a guy wouldn't come back to her, she churned that album out. Man, that was the best. That was the best thing that could have happened to her. There is something that's supposed to come out of you being hurt by somebody or something.
Yeah.
Someone. There's something that's supposed to come out of it. And I think oftentimes we look at the thing right in front of us is I got to get back into another relationship. But man, there are great things that can be accomplished while you are alone. And we look at TV and it seems like everybody's with somebody. But the crazy part about that, you don't see them when they're arguing. You don't see, what they say, every single person want to be married, and most married people want to be single.
Yeah.
It just matters on how much you're gonna put into it. Yes, she's absolutely right. Sophia said you have to pour something into it. She absolutely right. She absolutely right. She is absolutely right. You got yes.
Deidre Brown said wisdom. You have to do something with this hurt, this energy. There's this energy, there's this pain that you got to put it somewhere. You got to put it somewhere. And The thing is, you can't cover it and act like it's not there. That's what you can't do because it's gonna come back up.
I got hurt. We got hurt at this church. We were young and we just sawing all our time and everything in the church, and it didn't do like we thought it was supposed to do. So we left that church, and now we holding a grudge against churches. And the only person, and I ain't talking about the chicken place, I'm talking about churches like the church buildings. So, but
I'm
then
mad at that church though. Go ahead.
I know, but then when I saw him, I had so much pent up frustration and stuff by it, and we never talked about it, and it just stayed pent up. And then when I seen him, I couldn't stop crying because I had let all that time go by, and we wasn't doing anything. And you know the funny thing about that, it don't do nothing but hurt you. Whoever you mad at, be done went on with their life. Went on with their life and good, and ain't nothing worse than when you held down by something and you look and them people ain't thought twice about it. Because that's how it is most of the time. That's how it is. People don't think twice about stuff. So we have to so why not let something great come out of it rather than just the hurt that you're going through? It should prepare you into something.
You know, it's amazing how, like you said, people producing their pain. Everybody loves Marvin Winans. They love his
Never could have made it.
Never could have made it. And he saw the best in me. I watched the documentary, and those two songs came out of pain. They came out of two devastating things that happened to him. But those are the things. Sometimes we take one for the team, but it's only if we use that pain to produce something that can help somebody else. You gotta produce something that can help somebody else. So it's a positive way to channel that pain. But I see people that just, I can recognize a divorced person. If you out somewhere, I can spot a divorced person.
I can too. I can tell.
They on
can't keep, I can recognize one too that can't keep their drawers up. I can tell. Because they like, boy, do you want some of this? You want some? You want some of this? You want some of this? You want one of this? You want all this? Oh, I can tell too. I can tell too.
Oh, our boy Anthony says facts. Keep your head up. Learn from it and keep moving. You're absolutely right. But before you keep moving, don't dismiss what you've gone through. Don't dismiss what has happened to you. Deal with it first because you're going to drag it in. Because what happens if you dealt with the knucklehead, but then the next guy that comes along is the one? He's a great guy, but you won't see it because you're looking at him through the lens that was created by the last relationship you went through. So Lisa says you need time to mourn your breakup or marriage. It takes time. She's absolutely right. I'll never forget Dr. Miles Monroe. He said, divorce is like burying somebody and you keep seeing them. They keep popping back up. So you have to keep going through this grief over and over and over again. You keep going through it. If you dealt with that level of, hurt, it is not a good idea to just bypass it and move on. I don't know what Monique says. Hey, that's not all divorced folks.
I don't know what you're talking about. I
think she talk about your comment. I think she talk about your comment about come and get it.
Ling, 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 ling.
Dinner
time. Oh boy, that's funny.
But here's the thing: deal with the hurt that's going on. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Anthony said, "Be a blessing to someone else and allow them to be one to you." Absolutely. Talk to people that's been through it. What is it about going through that we reject sound advice? Why do we do that?
Because it's not what we want to hear at the time, man. Most of the time, we know or have an inkling of it or have heard it, but it's just that's not what we want to hear at the time, man. Because we want what we want when we want it, and sometimes wanting what we want when we want it has a cost attached to it. There's a price attached to it, and when it's time to pay the price for it, it was a little steeper than what we thought it was going to be.
A lot of times, that's how we got in the situation to begin with. All right, so Wesley says sometimes our hurt is self-inflicted. Sometimes people are hurt because you dealt with a person wrongly. Now they are gone. Now you see the life you could have lived. So Wesley talking about you done missed out on a good thing. You didn't act a fool. You didn't act a monkey. You showed your natural born behind, and they like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gone.
most of the time, most time when we young though, don't we do that when we younger though? Don't we? Don't everybody mess over some people that you look back and say, "Ooh, I probably should have did better by this one. I probably
You
should
know,
have did better."
I had a conversation with my niece today because she was on this whole thing of I'm gonna be 18 soon, so I got to get ready to go. I said, 18 is not a marker that you ready to go. It's not a marker that you ready to be on your own or be an adult. I said maturity is if you haven't done enough to be mature at 18, you're not ready. And you're gonna set yourself up for failure. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, I'm this age, it's time to do this, I'm tired. No, it's not about that. Have you actually prepared for what you want? If you want a marriage, have you actually prepared for it? You know what I'm saying? If you got 20 people you dealing with, you gonna have to narrow it down. Cause when he come in, he see all them people, he like, oh, so this is what the party is. Oh, okay, all right. And then you be upset because he treats you like that. But did you project that to him to begin with?
So, D, we need to get to this last thing, man. Unpardonable sin. What is
Yes.
what is the thing that makes you say, "Oh hell no"? I'm dealing with that.
What's the unpardonable sin in relationships? What's the thing where you say, that's it?
You
I
know, man, it's
can't do
fun. It's fun. That's a great question. But you know what's funny for me? This is what I think it is. Now, as much as you don't want people cheating and doing a lot of different things, I just don't want you to bring down. Don't do nothing that's gonna bring shame to the house. I don't know how to,
Mm.
if that just when you out there doing you, just remember that what you rep the brand you represent, because the yogi Lou brand is worldwide. You know, everybody know you when you pass by. It's a store, John Lewis in England. Hey man, listen, everybody know the brand.
It's
Don't
all right.
mess the brand. Don't mess the brand up, man. That's all I'm saying. Just when you out there wild, and just remember, hey man, I don't want to mess the brand up. That's me.
All right. Ilana said red flags. Everyone is looking for those red flags. Who wants to be this? Who wants to be the same fool twice? As you can see, my issue is pride. As much as it's pride, I would say it's fear.
Hmm.
Because as much as you say pride, but you don't want to come off across as that fool. But listen, I'll never forget before me and my wife got married, a prophet prophesied to me and to her to give us this sense of listen. He told me, he said, listen, he said, Mary, he said, you don't know what you're gonna get. You just go by faith. So as much as we want to predict, it's really about control. As long as we can control people or control situations, we think we're fine. But that's not really it. It's being able to be vulnerable enough with a person to be who you really are, to be your true self, and not feel like that person gonna use that to get advantage of you or control you. That's the real. That's the real deal in relationships. That's the real deal in a marriage.
And that's whether you dating or you married. You got to be with somebody that you can talk to you about with them, and they make you and you feel good about doing it. You know, both of you guys. That's really important in that. Really important. Go ahead, D.
West says some of our hurts is self-inflicted. Sometimes people hurt because you dealt with the person wrongly. I think we saw this before. All right. Now you see the like. All
Oh,
right. Yeah, I think we went back to another one. But that's what I'm saying. Trying to protect yourself from hurt is, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's inevitable, but I'm trying to say it's.
what? Just let me say this.
Go ahead.
No one wants to be hurt, but you got
Right.
to put yourself out there as if you can get hurt and have the faith to believe that you won't be hurt. But you got to put yourself out there, and by putting yourself out there, you're gonna feel a way about it. But listen, that's the only way you'll move to that next stage in that relationship with them. But you got to put yourself out there.
Right. So Charlotte says men tend to let their hurt fall on the women, who care about them the most, especially when they are different from the negative have been used to. I'm gonna let you deal with this. So go ahead.
No, come over here talking about no men, no women, no men. What men be doing to women? Because listen, it's enough hurt that's issued out there by everybody. Everybody. Don't come up in here talking about see the men when they be hurting us and we don't be doing it. I ain't trying to hear that. Go on, D. I just want to get that straight. We get her straight, then everybody else straight. Because then the line forms to the right when they talk about all the we're not doing that. This man talk, women talk.
Let me say this. Hurting people is not a man, woman. It's a human condition. People, number one, people are selfish. Naturally, people are selfish. They want what they want. It's only that when you get to a point where you want what's best for the other person, and that becomes a mutual thing between you and the person that you're with, that you find something nice, you find something beautiful, something worth sharing, because it just feels good to know that somebody got your back and that you can beat up for something. Man, ain't that a beautiful thing? Somebody got your back and you can have somebody else's back. And it's like, if the world come against us, we're going to take them down because, hey, we got each other.
Teddy P said it. Teddy P said that. He
What
said
did Teddy
it's
say?
good. He said it's good loving somebody and somebody love you back.
And that's a fact. But listen, here's the thing. Hurt typically comes when expectations are not met. You got to judge your own expectations.
Right.
Where are your expectations? Have you properly communicated your expectations? Have you really let them know what you expect from them? Don't leave it as, oh, I'm going to see if they can figure it out. Don't do that. Let them know up front, because now they can tell you whether they want to deal with trying to meet your expectations or not.
My therapist told me,
set yourself up for failure.
My therapist told me, he said, man, you got to temper your expectations. He said, because the standard that you hold for other people need to come down from the same one you hold for yourself. People are not you, and you're going to always be disappointed. So D, you right on to that, because my therapist told me that, and he gave me a bunch of pills and told me to do some other stuff. But he told me that. He said, hey, man, dude, real talk, because sometimes my expectations of what we have for other people are too high. And even if they high for you like that, you can't necessarily hold somebody else to those things, man.
No. So you gotta really evaluate your own expectations. What are you expecting from this relationship? And if you haven't spent time with yourself to get to know who you are, what you want, what you really need, then you don't have the right expectations. So when a person doesn't meet the expectations, really, if you had evaluated them from the beginning, they never had what they needed to meet the expectations to begin with. So it really not their fault. It's really on you, because you were so eager just to have somebody on your arm that you bypassed the requirements.
I told you about 20-some minutes ago, if there is blame for everybody in this, because listen, relationships whether you dating or married or whatever y'all do it's enough. It's blame. Listen, people gonna make mistakes in relationships. They make them in marriage. They're gonna make them, and if you can't work through it, man, there should be a time where everybody needs to step back and evaluate. If something works, you need to step back and write down what made this work. If it don't work, you need to step back and write down what made it fail. And so you'll be better next time. Did I say that?
Exactly.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Did I say it?
When you go through a traumatic experience in a relationship, stop and take assessment of what went wrong. Because that's the only way moving forward you can say, okay, last time this is what happened, so this is what I'm gonna do different. The only way to not keep failing is to learn something when you fail. If you fail, pick up something, learn something from the failure. And
Mhm.
other people are nothing but a distraction. If you go and start messing with somebody else right away, they are nothing but a distraction. It's all a matter of time before it all falls apart. So don't set yourself up for failure like that. Don't do it. Don't you do it. All right.
All right. My final thought for this evening is this: you owe it to yourself to become the best person that you can, and that's with or without somebody. Life is set up to be a classroom, and when you fail something, that a relationship, the church, or whatever it is, when you fail something, you have a responsibility to you to become the best person that you can. And when you're dating or trying to be in a relationship, again, you have the responsibility of being the best person that you could be for that person. Because wouldn't you expect the same thing from them? Wouldn't you expect the person that didn't have any excess baggage? How much easier would it be if everybody unpacked their bags before they got to you? That's all I got.
It's very natural when you've gone through a traumatic experience, especially in a relationship, is to tell yourself, this will not happen to me again. And so this is when we start putting up walls. We put up walls to keep ourselves from being hurt or keep ourselves from going through the same experience over again. Here's the problem with walls. Walls are good at keeping the bad out. They're good at protecting what's inside. The downside is those very same walls can keep the good out and at the same time lock you in. You have to be aware if you're building walls to keep yourself locked in from experiences that could be a blessing to you, from people that could really be a positive impact on your life, people who really want to love you, people who really want to care for you. The thing is, just become better at the gate. Who you let in. Ask the right questions. Make sure you evaluate people the right way and use your experience to become wiser so that you don't make the same mistakes over again. But don't lock yourself into a space where you exclude yourself from happiness. You exclude yourself from the possibilities of life, all because you're afraid that something bad is going to happen. Let's just be smarter and experience life to the fullest. Let's love, let's live, let's be happy. And that's King Speaks for this week.
Boy, you said that. You said that. You hear me? You said that.
Hey, everybody, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. This is what we do. It's Man Talk Mondays. We
Yes.
appreciate the love. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, Man Talk Mondays. We got Man Talk About It. The letter, you can send us, email us at mantalkmondays1@gmail.com. Send your letters, send the situation that you want to talk us to talk about, and we'll deal with it. That's it. That's
Hey
it,
man.
ladies and gentlemen. Catch us Monday night, 7 o'clock. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week. We love you guys. Peace out.